Yes, I attended Geelong College in 1977 for year 12. Lived at boarding school, and I think it was the first year of co-ed boarding, I think. But I was a country bumpkin from Malaysia, so it was all kind of new to me. But yeah, well, I stayed there for a year, but really wonderful year. Well, when I first arrived in Geelong College, it was actually pretty overwhelming, considering I come from a tiny little mining town in Malaysia, Ipoh, and it was a large school with a huge boarding population. But it was pretty overwhelming. But everyone was so friendly to me, and so it didn't take me long to acclimatize. Everyone was really lovely, and I made a lot of really good friends. The classes, I was walking through the corridors, and everyone's saying, "Hey, Chong," and I was thinking, "Who's that one? Who's this one?" I couldn't even remember anything. I was so overwhelmed. But it ended up being a really great year, and a lot of good friends were made, and people who took care of me and took me into their homes and showed me Australia. And I think Geelong College was actually a great place for me to start my the Australian segment of my education, and the start of my life in Australia. Really, it taught me a lot, and I have to say, boarding school was a great way to introduce me, or anyone actually, to Australia. Yeah, it taught me independence, resilience for sure, and discipline. Um, I mean, I still feel guilty if I don't make my bed in the mornings, and even though it's very regimented, but it was really made me a very disciplined person. When they figured out that I was interested in music, they were very supportive, and as I said, Hartley Needham organized a jazz piano teacher, and helped me organize a little jazz combo, and were really supportive of allowing me to do that as an extracurricular activity. And that gave me a kickstart to thinking maybe music is what I really wanted to do. I come from Malaysia, where in those days there was no music industry. It's only a dream to be a musician, but you would never even consider being one. And when I got to Geelong College with the help, with the support of the staff there, it helped me grow to love music even more. But it really did sow the seeds that there is some kind of possibility that I could end up being a musician. When I was at Ormond College at Melbourne University, I met David Hobson, who was the man about town and college. He was a great sportsman and an amazing musician. And then James Valentine wasn't in the college, but he was a close friend of David's. And the three of us and a couple of other friends of David's from Ballarat formed a pop band. We did a few balls, college balls together, but that just started my taste again in music. And in fact, I was studying mechanical engineering. David was studying economics, and I think James was doing journalism or something. And I still have some old photos, of all that stuff. And it was really a lot of fun. And we used to be in the green room just jamming away, thinking we were really cool. But yeah, and of course, it's ended up that David's now a very prominent classical soloist, and James is a very famous radio announcer in Sydney. Being in the band really just gave me a taste of what could happen in a band. I think it was the first time really that I played in some kind of band. But when you're at Melbourne Uni or any university, it's such a diverse range of people. I think somehow a few other people heard that I was playing piano. Not that great, really. But somehow I met this wonderful guy called a wonderful musician called Willie Zigia, and who's now he's married to Deborah Conway, and they have a group together. And we jammed together as a consequence of all that stuff. Somehow, one of his friends was at college, and told him about me, and then we ended up, and that's what jazz musicians do. We kind of jam with each other. And I think he took a liking to me and introduced me to a whole swag of people. And before I knew it, I was playing in a band here, in that hotel there, that pub over here. And that started my sort of informal career. and and I would be distracted. I'd be studying for physics exam or something. Suddenly, it'd be like, "Hey, do you want to do a gig at 9 p.m. tonight at the whatever hotel?" I go, "Of course." Who cares about the exam? Oh, I'm playing, and that's how I actually got started in the business. But it still took many years for me to decide to be a professional. But it really did, you know, stir the insides of me. I never put pressure on myself to be a professional musician. I just kind of drifted into it, and I loved the journey, and I still love the journey, and here I am today. I just love what I do. It's not a job. It's a way of life. To be a musician is an all encompassing profession. It's not like you turn up at 9 o'clock for work and you clock off at 5. You It's a way of life. That's what you think of when you get up in the morning, and that's the last thing you think about when you go to bed. And the diversity of what I do, it could be an orchestral recording, it could be a jazz recording, it could be a pop song, it could be the Olympics, it could be any of that stuff. And so every project is very exciting, and along the way you meet a lot of interesting people, of like-minded people who are in the pursuit of excellence in the arts, and that's a very rewarding thing to pursue. And that had always been my dream, even as a child, but I never knew I would be actually doing it. It was just some kind of dream, but dreams do happen, I suppose. The music industry is a very challenging industry because it's literally not an industry anymore. When I started, it was very exciting. There were pub gigs everywhere, every corner hotel. Friday, Saturday nights, there'll be gigs. There were gigs in clubs. There were gigs just everywhere. And then the recording industry was very exciting. There were a lot of records made, and there were jingles at advertising agency, music. So there was a lot of things to do. And you could actually make a decent buck working on records, whether you're playing on them or you're the artist. But now with technology, streaming, etc., and music was actually the first industry to be hit by this phenomenon, which is only slowly permeating into the TV and film industry. But we've been suffering, I think, for at least 15, 20 years, has made it very difficult to make a living. But somehow we're still surviving. People still need music. People still need joy, whatever it is that they get out of music. So it is very difficult. And of course, it's not a business where you got a degree or you got a calling card and you get a job and you build your career and you jump to a bigger company in a higher position. You're literally out on your own, and you've got to somehow figure out how to get your message across, how people are going to entrust you with their projects. So it's a slow process, and it's not, I think my philosophy had always been to do the best job I can, and hopefully, you, it's a very naive concept, but it's worked for me. And if I did a really good job, someone else will hear about me, and they'll come to me. And that's still how my business works. It's just word of mouth, and I call it bespoke music because it's music geared towards whoever wants to use my skills. But it is a very difficult business. It's always, every year I wake up and I go, maybe this is the year I won't get any work, but so far so good. I've had a lot of highlights, but I suppose the biggest thing really was the Sydney Olympics. That was a very exciting time. I had so many secrets in my head that I had to keep from everybody else. And meanwhile, I was composing music, recording music, meeting new people, planning, and then of course Sydney and Australia came alive during those 2 weeks. It was just 2 or 3 weeks, whatever that was, and it was just the most exciting period. And Sydney with the weather and the people, it was just so exciting. And also when I first joined the John Farnham Band, that was very exciting because I was playing in clubs holding 50 people to stadiums holding 15,000 people. And since then, I've had a lot of very exciting adventures, performing in Vegas with Olivia Newton-John, going to playing Shepherd's Bush with Kylie Minogue, working with Sir George Martin, Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees. So I've had a very exciting time. But every gig's a good one, whether it's to 20 people or 20,000 people. It's really about the music, and when you have fun playing, that's the best feeling. My only goal in life is to make sure that every project I do or every piece of music I do is better than the last one I did, and I really don't have like career aims or anything because it'll only end in tears. Um, so I just want to make sure every project I do is an interesting one and allows me to expand my musical skills and make me a better musician. That's all I'm looking for. Well, to all the young kids or the young folk out there, pursue your dreams. Don't do what you think your parents or society expects you to do. Do what you love and work hard at it, and you'll always succeed, I'd say.